Hello and welcome to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. I think we were going to get here for a minute. I lost power for most of the evening, and in fact, I just kind of blanked out for a second right there. Let's see how far we get, huh, brother?
Dude, there's no games on right now. There's not. This is still the All-Star break. You would think we could get away from rain delays, but apparently not, because you lost power. I thought I was going to lose power. We can't guarantee that we're going to keep power, but we'll do our best.
Yeah, if I got to just be honest with everybody, if we do lose power, listen, we might just call it quits. So let's see where we get to, right? We got a lot to talk about. We got the Adam Frazier deal. I definitely want to get your thoughts on it. I definitely want to get your thoughts on the All-Star game and how the participation went. We got a cool poll question, a great call your shot tonight. Let's dig right in. Let's start with Adam Frazier. What do you think of this deal, Jim? They get this Cam Devaney kid. Let's not pretend any of us know who he is. I don't think that's all that important. But what it is another one of these guys, a little long in the tooth, got drafted at that weird year before COVID. Performed this year better than he ever has. Strikeout rate's a little high. Power's up there. Can definitely handle shortstop. What do you say, man? Clear indication IKF's on the way out too, which we already knew.
Yeah, look, the fact that they got something for Adam Frazier at this point is probably a win, and they can take a look at this guy. There's some concerns. He's got this swing, this miss rate in the zone stuff that probably won't translate too well to the major league level. But I got to tell you, and this is probably a backhanded compliment, or just shows where the Pirates are with offense. If he were in the minor league system for the Pirates, we'd have had fans clamoring to call him up for 2 months ago. So, there are worse things to get for Adam Frazier. Do I expect it to work out? No, but I think it's worth a shot.
I mean, a couple things with it. I mean, with Adam Frazier, you know what you're getting. You're getting international pool money back, or you're getting like a real low in the minors type lottery ticket with higher upside probably, or you're getting somebody else's 40-man problem child. If you're really going to insist on getting close to the majors' help. Now, if you're going to insist on getting close to the majors' help, you might as well take somebody who's like up in the top echelon of the International League as far as their batting statistics go. But there's definitely, like, to me, I don't think any kind of like thing beyond a prayer that it's really like an answer for 2026. But I think it could admirably fill a hole that in 2025, at least it might be entertaining to watch towards the end after they move off IKF.
Yeah, I think like going through the rest of the season, call them up and let them play. It's not like they have great options. So, find out. See what he looks like.
They didn't go and get some kind of a shortstop option. I think you're probably looking at Jared Triolo coming back up, as the most likely candidate to get those at bats. So, if nothing else, if you can kind of look at this as, hey, this is staving off another look at Triolo, right? Like Gregory Hoyle says, if he can fill in for the rest of 2025, he's good with that. That's kind of where I'm at, and I guess I would just leave open the door that maybe he breaks through, or maybe he really does just look like, maybe he's at least like a Paul DeYoung type that can pop a few homers and handle the position. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a fringe roster guy. He's never had the opportunity. We'll see what he does with it. My hope is that you've traded for him, you might as well play him. I hope that is the plan. And then if what the concerns that we think are there, if they are, then doesn't change anything for the future. You still need to go out and fix and address it.
Yeah, there's no risk in this move, and all the upsides on the Pirates side. Honest to God, I mean, if he works out and it gets you more than even this year, in any way, shape, or form, and turns into a player, hey, awesome. I mean, like,
Yeah, right. Because typically I look at and this is not patting Ben Sherrington on the back. I'm just saying most of the time when you trade a guy like Adam Frazier at this stage of his career, whatever, you might be getting like a single A reliever back, something like. Um, so it's worth a shot. Odds are long, but what do they have to do? What do they have to work with now anyway? Especially when we get some of these moves that we expect to happen.
right. So, anyways, I thought that was a decent swing at a return for Adam Frazier. Better than I expected to get. Kind of makes me hopeful for some of these other guys they have to move off that I think are maybe a little more valuable than that, even like Dennis Santana. I do want to say one thing that I do think should be a concern here. It's one thing to like go for these blocked guys or these guys who have gotten a little taste of major leagues but haven't cracked through. It's cool to do that a little bit with some of these rentals, like take a swing, a low risk swing on a guy like that. But you also don't really want to fill up the 40 man with a bunch of scrap either that you're going to have to end up clearing off. So you got to kind of walk a line there. I think there is a time to go for the lottery ticket versus the swing. And you're right. If you're going to acquire guys like this dude, you have to let him play. And I think that's part of the frustration that we've had with the team, Jim, is that they did this last year at the deadline when they brought in Billy Cook. At least that's an age match here. He was up there at 26. York's younger, but weren't they brought in for this same purpose? Like fill a role last year, get a chance. They showed up good, and then they didn't get a chance in spring. They were blocked by two old scrubs.
That's why I almost caught myself when I said it, because I don't want to assume anything. Like,
Right.
I can't just assume that they're gonna let him get his little taste in AAA and he's gonna be up and we're gonna see him the rest of the season. I, that's what I would hope, but boy, you can never assume with Mr. Sherrington and his wacky minions.
Yeah. Like Martin says here, as soon as IKF is gone, this guy will play. That's my assumption too, Martin. Honestly, I thought there was a chance they would just bring him directly up, just if only because he had gotten called in Kansas City, just hadn't gotten an opportunity yet. So, I mean, I kind of thought they would just leave him at that level. It might have been easier for them to sell as a major leaguer for a major leaguer. You know what I mean? Even though it wouldn't exactly take Sherlock Holmes to get through that subterfuge, we've seen them do dumber things trying to cover their tracks before.
At
Just
least there,
just
at
the
least there was
thought.
no hype video, you know.
Yeah. So
So
far, no hype video. I'm happy about that. But I don't know. I think it's a worthy swing. The power does seem real. Um, Worst case scenario, this is infield version of Gorski, and best case scenario, it turns into a dude that manages to contribute here for a minute.
yeah, and Gregory Hoyle says, I bet Triolo gets the call. I'll be bummed. You know what? I wouldn't put it past them. I I hope that's not the case, but it would not shock me either. So I would hope they would let Triolo go down, and if they need to really work on things with him and even deconstruct some things with him to try something different, I think they should do that.
Yeah, but when are you talking about? Are you
What do you
talking
mean?
like after they would have traded IKF at some point?
Yeah,
Okay. Because
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
if that's
assuming the dominoes have fallen.
let's say that's like 3 weeks from now. Is that enough time, or do you think like he needs to just stay down there the rest of the year, one way or another, no matter what he's doing?
With Triolo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's to me it's at a pretty critical point that you need to go down and figure some things out and try to give him a long-term stretch of seeing if that works down there and then reassess. There'd be no rush.
Yeah.
right? If they truly, Ben Sherrington talks about how the best version of this team is with Jared Triolo on it, which, okay, perfect world, yes. But I would just, great if he'd be your
I
last.
certainly don't want to run cover for him on that because I understand why it frustrated so many people. But he said the exact same thing about David Bednar and got the exact same scorn for it, and he was dead on right. So I'm just
If you
throwing it out
understand,
there.
if you understand the context, I think I agree with that. I don't know that a ton of people do. I just feel like it's time to go back to the drawing board a little bit for Triolo offensively. I would let him stay down there and try to figure things out.
Yeah, I would completely deconstruct his swing, everything about it.
That's what I'm saying.
I would completely start over. I'd be like, listen, you hit like I don't know, you hit like you're 5'5". Like, what are you doing? Like,
Yep.
and I would just completely break him down and start over. But that takes two to tango. A player's got to want to do that because that's an invasive move. That's almost like a TJ for a hitter.
It really is, and there's got to be a buy-in, and guys see it as a risk, right? Like, even if you're not all that successful, it's a big risk.
All right, hey, I'll tell you what, brother. We got to take that first break before the power, before the power goes out. Anyway,
hey, we got one segment in.
We'll come back. Let's talk a little bit about the All-Star game because I don't think that's going to take us all that long.
All right.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
All right, welcome back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and hit us with a like too. This network that we're blessed to be on, honestly, has a ton of subscribers and they don't need our help, but just make sure you do. And tell a friend about the show if it's something that you enjoy. We're always trying to get the word out. So anyways, Jim, we want to talk about the All-Star game just a little bit. I don't think we need to go chapter and verse through it because neither of us consider it real sports. So what'd you think of Paul Skeens? Because I thought he was dominant. He said all the right things. I thought he was hilarious talking afterwards about how he really just wanted to strike out the side and not walk anybody. He was mad at himself for a whole year about walking people last year.
I've said this already. I think there's more to Paul Skeens than people might give him credit for on the personality side. But I think he's pretty reserved when it comes to post-game stuff. But when you get him away from that, you see a little bit of that the self-deprecation and things of that nature. So it's cool to be able to see their personalities a little bit, right?
Yeah.
He looked great. We'll probably go the rest of our lives with never seeing a Pirate start back-to-back in the All-Star game. A little bittersweet for me overall. You get to see Cruz do what he does. You get to see Skeens do what he does. Dave Parker was mentioned during the telecast, and the Pirates had their little stamps on this thing. It makes you wish there was more. It makes you wish there was more to it.
I know. We had the home run derby. I know Cruz showed well, certainly better than the other representatives the Pirates have had throughout the years.
Yeah, well.
But 21 home runs in that first round. I know a lot of people decided that we couldn't talk about how that being a decent thing at all. But I didn't see any reason to have malice about it at all. I thought he did a good job, and I thought he repped himself well, smiled a lot, did what O'Neal Cruz does when he's at his charismatic best, and I thought he represented the Pirates really well in that home run derby.
Yeah, again, I think you get to see, once again, you get to see guys a little more relaxed. It's not a lot of fun in Pittsburgh, right? Playing baseball. I think you see that with these guys. You
I
know?
think the other thing you see too is like, despite what you hear about O'Neal Cruz, like here in Pittsburgh, and what the fans tend to paint him as a malcontent or stupid or not good enough, or he should be sent to Double A. Even I heard you see him around these other stars. He's not seen as some stepchild. I mean, these guys are watching what he's doing, like with bated breath too. They're on the top steps. Like Paul Skeen's the guy that doesn't fake being impressed all that well. Is very impressed watching O'Neal. And I thought those two had a pretty cool moment, like during the home run derby when Paul was just like, rubbing him up and like, talking him up. And after he got kicked out of the second round by Big Dumper, I mean, like he was there to comfort him. I thought it was a great show that these guys are teammates, man. Like, and I think they support each other, and I think there's more here to this core and this room than I think people want to believe.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's very hard when there's not a lot of winning going on, right? I just don't feel like that they can ever catch their breath with things and feel somewhat settled. And I get it. I mean, these are long seasons, and the Pirates have had a lot of losing in these seasons, and I think it does wear on guys. We talked with Travis Snyder last week off camera about that a little bit, which I think is a fascinating conversation. But yeah, look, it was. I enjoyed what I liken it to this. Like, the home run derby to me is like the slam dunk contest in basketball. Like, you just want to see the guys that can physically jump through the ceiling, you know what I mean? Like, and do all these things. They don't even necessarily have to be the all-stars. So, because that was something there they did with that, which is you didn't have to make the NBA All-Star team to be invited to the slam dunk competition. It's a celebration of what these guys are capable of, and I think people want to watch that.
I do too. I still think they should change the game a little bit. Like, I like the bonus round after better than I like the speed round. To me, I just think, like, give them a bank of like 20 outs or something and just let them take their time and hit home runs systematically. I just think that would be a more accurate test of the type of hitting that these guys do. A little bit more seriousness to their swings, and
we'll let the game breathe a little bit too, like, or let the competition breathe a little bit too. It feels like it's chaotic. Like, the cameraman doesn't even know where the ball is. They're showing the next pitch.
The announcers don't help at all either. They have no idea what's going on.
Right. Like, can we just not marvel at like some of the shots? Like, let them land, let the fans have the moment, and then throw the next pitch. And you're not tiring guys out either. Like, I think that's what guys don't like either, is that, like, you're having them take like 40 swings.
Jake was there in person. It's very hard to follow live. Yeah, see, I would think so, Jake. And I saw 2 of these in person. One was in San Francisco, and I mean, they did have this speed thing introduced, but it wasn't this way. This version was actually kind of cool. I liked the bonus round a little bit. That kind of slowed it down and made it cool. Speaking of bonus round, that's essentially what we got to actually close this dumb game out, right? After the American League came all the way back and tied it up at 6, because Paul Skeens can't get a win even with all-stars on his team, right? But the game is tied 6-6, and they go to a swing off. Okay, I mean, like, what did you think of that, Jim? I mean, I get why they did it. I'm just like, I don't know. I didn't like it, man. And then people started talking about, like, well, what if we did that in the real games instead of the guy at second base? And no, please no. Don't make it even worse. I don't want that at all.
Okay, I've got a couple thoughts about what transpired. Like, I get the dilemma that they get in because, like, they don't have any pitchers left, right? Like you've used all your pitchers. It's the All-Star game and you're trying to get everybody in. So like your pitchers are gone through for
Sure.
most all intents and purposes. So like you do get stuck where okay, you've got what the 10th, 11th, or 12th inning to pitch, and like who would you send out there if you've gone through all your guys?
When we were growing up, there was always pitchers that didn't get in. In fact, like because the
Right.
Pirates representative was almost damn near always a reliever that they just plucked to represent the team, and I can tell you 10 of them in my mind where I sat there watching the whole time. Is Bill Landrum going to get in there? You know, like, like oh, is Jim Gott going to get the pitch? Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, come on. Like,
Yeah,
Matt Capps is going to get a chance.
Randy Tomlin,
Yeah.
you know, those types of guys. But like, so they get in this spot where like they've used everybody. They can't really let the game go on. Now, I will say, if you are going to go to this like swing off, man, you have to have the best players out there doing it. Like you have the stars of stars, and I get what they said that like some people had left already or they've showered and they're not ready to they can't, you know, they're done or they're gone. But it just seems like a big miss to me that like Ohtani and Judge and those types of dudes aren't out there doing that stuff. Like, man, that's
But I think if they did change it, Jim, I think they would come back to it. Like if it wasn't that speed swing thing, I think there'd be a lot less worry about injury. It would be a lot more like a normal batting practice type environment. I think you'd see a lot of the stars that actually make it to the All-Star game or are known for hitting home runs I think they would start to slide back into the game. Don't you?
I totally agree. I think that these players aren't really what they're doing is so unnatural. Like you're
Yeah.
going up there and swinging as hard as you can 40 times, and that's just in the first round. You see them; they're exhausted. I agree. I think if you just like, can we just not figure out what fans and players like? You know, that would be my suggestion.
Well, I mean, we're probably talking about a span of what 60, 70 years between like the top and bottom of like that fan spectrum. So
This is true.
I don't think we're ever going to all agree. There's going to be some things that like I saw Byron Buxton was talking bad about the ABS system. He's just not a fan of it. And I kind of didn't think that there would be any players that were really against it. I would think everybody would would think they've been hard done by an ump and want to get it right.
Who had the article? And I wish I know who it came from. It was somebody of national prominence saying that a surprising number of hitters aren't necessarily thrilled about the ABS system coming in. They do not want the responsibility of making the decision, and if they're wrong. And I thought that is something I had never considered is that they don't necessarily trust themselves enough to know if it's a ball or a strike, and they do not want that as a thing that falls on them. So that to me was interesting. I forget who it was. It was like Kirkjian or Passan or somebody had that out there, and I was like, that's something I hadn't considered before. Some players don't want the responsibility.
Hey, one last thing on this, because first I thought, honestly, I really thought Paul Skeens and O'Neill Cruz did a really good job representing the Pirates. I was proud of both of them. I mean, it's kind of hard not to be. And it's not even about performance. It's just the things they say, the way they carry themselves. They did a great job. What did you think of Filipponi's comments about not wanting O'Neill Cruz to win the home run derby? Like that, it was just a weird toned thing. I've seen him say dumb things before, you know, and you know, make outlandish claims or bet stupid things, but that was a little bit different. That just seems like it's coming from a mean place. Like, why would you want your player to do bad?
Yeah. Look, I think that's what happens when you start sticking your toe in hot take water a little too much, right? That every once in a while it's going to come off as something maybe other than you intended it to. And I'm not going to go too deep down that, rabbit hole, but yeah, I mean, why would you? Why would you cheer for him to fail? What is he? What has O'Neal Cruz done, or anybody for that matter?
I just think that, Jim, there's a whole lot of people that are trying to play home psychologist with a guy from watching him on TV and reading his facial expressions and frustrated because they can't communicate with him like they can every other Tom, Dick, or Harry from the United States who's here playing and can just say, "Oh shucks, ma'am, I didn't play good." You know what I mean? Like, and I just don't think they understand that aspect of it, and it causes frustration. But when the radio guys are doing it on the flagship, I don't know how you don't expect that to kind of trickle into more of the fan base. And I can't imagine that's the kind of thing that anybody wants to foster, no matter what kind of resentment you hold against this team, especially in this market where we have a history of doing this to players. And I don't want it to continue. I just don't. We run people out of this town. Like, it's ridiculous. I don't want to run, I think, the most told player we've had here since McCutcheon. I'm not looking to like give up on him or push him out the door because he's not quite awesome enough.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird how certain players seem to fall under this microscope. And look, there are things Cruz could do to help himself on the field. But that being said, I do think you're onto something with the whole, there's a language barrier, there's a culture barrier. You don't really get to know that player at all.
Not in the same way anyway.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And then you mix it in with, yeah, okay, no one takes Pony seriously, Mike. I get that. But there's a lot of idiots out there too. So that stuff perception starts becoming reality.
Nobody takes Pony seriously until he tweets out that he's got some source telling him that Mitch Keller's being traded to such and such place, and it sets the whole league on fire. And
or the Brandon Ayuk deal is on the 1 yard line with the Steelers. I mean, so come on.
I just thought that was a little bit above board or above the line of where I really want to see things go in this market. And that sucks. I think there's ways to criticize the team and the players without openly rooting for their failure. It just seems stupid to me.
Well, and there are certain people that I would expect that from.
Yeah.
In this
and some of them just want to be him so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't think Pony is necessarily mean-spirited, and it kind of came off as that.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, yeah, anyways.
You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking let's do break and then call your shot so we don't have to interrupt it because this is going to get us going on something, all right?
Okay, cool.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
All right, welcome back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. Jim, you ran a cool poll question. That's going to get covered here in Call Your Shot too. This is a couple minutes long here, but it's really, really good stuff. 2 good questions and comments for us to talk about.
That's right. It's time for Call Your Shot, where your rants and hot takes get the spotlight right here on Pirates Fan Forum. I'm Taylor Rashad Yens, #1 brand for the black and gold. Rock Pirates, Pens, and Steelers year-round with the Yens brand. This week's Call Your Shot winner, we got 2 tonight, actually. Sorry for not being here last week, but great show, guys. And wanted to lead it off with this week's winner is going to be John J. Gore 493. He leads us off this week, right into Jim's question, poll question, and his hot take is he watched Rob Manfred's interview on Pat McAfee's show and really felt like we're going to have a lockout. Do you think it will get so bad where 2027 doesn't happen? Well, John, thanks for that intro there, and congrats on winning the Shop Yens gift card. Check your DMs for that. Jim posted a Pirates poll this week, and we're going to go ahead and read that. I'm going to put it up right here for you guys. Make sure you're following Jim and Gary on Twitter and in Shop Yens as well to stay connected and for a chance to participate. The poll is, the Bucs are magically really good in 2026 and appear to be set up for the next few seasons beyond that. Would you support the lockout in the loss of 2027 season if it accomplished addressing the long-term issues facing the MLB? Go. 82% of you said yes, it's worth it. 9% said no, I need to win right now. And 9% said, I honestly don't know. I'm right there. Lock it out. Get us a salary cap. Let us be good for many more years to come. And Penguins Jesus, next winner, says, lockout no matter what. Salary cap and floor. Bring some parity back to the league. There's no scenario on earth that upends this as the #1 priority for this fan base. Amen. Gary, Jim, good to see you guys. Hey, what an all-star break. Skeens and Cruz put on a show. Maybe the future is brighter than we think, but hey, can't wait for 2026 to come fast enough. Peace out, guys. See ya.
Changing the game, spitting that flame. His name is all. I got that Pittsburgh sound, and I'ma always hold Pittsburgh down.
Taylor always brings it, man. And
He does.
Jim, obviously the poll question was great. The question was awesome from John, and it just led right into the poll question. And the comment from Penguins Jesus, spot on, right? I mean, and the poll reflected that. That's a big percentage to be completely cool with like losing a season. And I think that everyone says they'll be cool with it and they'll gripe and moan through the whole thing and want it to be over and everything. The hardest thing for me will be just watching adults not be able to come together for the good of the game and do what's right. You know, just by looking at the examples of all the other leagues. And it frustrates me to no end that they just can't see that it would be better for literally everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the biggest groundswell I can remember for fans being ready for this or ready to get something a step or two closer to getting some sort of cap and floor system in. There's so many fans that are feeling that their team doesn't have a chance, and that's just not Pittsburgh. I think there's a ton of fans in 2/3 of the markets out there that feel this way.
I'd at least say half.
Yeah. Depending on the year, I guess. But yeah, 82% of Pirate fans, as starved as they are for winning, as starved as they are, and just desperate, they are still willing to forgo maybe a scenario where the Pirates were actually gaining some momentum. They would still be willing to forego that just to fix the game. If that doesn't say anything about where fans are here, I was shocked. I did not think it would be that high. I thought a lot of people would still say, no, I'm so desperate for winning, I will take it now and the future be damned. And barely anybody said that.
when I really go down the list of things that I think could win here in Pittsburgh, okay? There's a new owner, and I think I've said that countless times. I think that's probably a minimal change. I think at best you get a better businessman and somebody who is more willing to risk a little bit of money in order to make some money. But I don't think that you're talking about like somebody that changes the game like what happened in San Diego, where they went from just never ever winning to all of a sudden they're perennial winners that are willing to roll the dice at every deadline and sign big contracts. And so I think you're talking about like a DNA change in a franchise.
I was just going to say, you're talking culture. You're talking just revamping and building a better culture with some additional resources, with better business sense about them.
Yeah, so I think there's improvement in a new owner, but I don't think that there's a true fix, because one of the truths that I accept and others don't is that all markets are not created equal, and it is not just about want to as far as what they can and will spend. So I think an owner minimal upgrade changes things a little bit, probably gets you up into the Twins and, if you're lucky, Brewers territory of competitive baseball, where you're relatively in it. You're able to sign a big player here and there. You're able to keep a guy here and there. You're able to make a trade if you need to here and there. But it is what it is as far as that goes. I kind of think the system has to change if I ever really want to see what I see on all the other sports. And it's not just about winning all the time. Like, the Penguins have been bad for a few seasons now, Jim, and like they have a salary cap and they're in the process of trying to come out of that. And it's all going to come down to whether their GM is as smart as he acts like he is, right?
Sure.
So that's what it really should be about. Are you smart at evaluating players? Are you good at developing players? Do you know how to deploy players? Do you know how to draft players? Do you know how to sign good players? Like, that's what it should be about. It shouldn't be about like, I'm in this city, so I can do this much more. That's not any way to run a league. And I just think like it's worth any price to get that fixed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I'm definitely one of the 82% that would say I would be willing to forgo it.
And I get paid to talk about them, so it's not like I'm sitting here saying it lightly, right, Jim. It's not like I'm going like, oh boy, I certainly can't wait to try to come up with top 10 lists 3 times a week for you for a year.
Yeah, it'd be the off season, but even worse, right? From a content standpoint. And look, we've been through older Pirate fans have been through a lockout before. We know what that's like. We know what losing basically a season's worth of baseball is like. It does suck.
Yeah.
It sucks really bad. But I just good on people from Pittsburgh to say, you know what, it's so bad that I will even sacrifice a chance at winning, because what's it mean if you can't do it down the road ever again either?
No, you wouldn't, Martin. They're in the players union now. So you would not watch minor league baseball and be happy, my friend. You might watch like Appalachian League or college, but you're not going to watch minor league baseball. That's going to go away too.
Savannah Bananas are going to end up playing 162 games.
Yeah, they might just maybe they'll start a real league and just run around to all these stadiums, just like populating them all. It'll be hilarious.
Gary, we should probably mention too, like, I just came across it before we came on the air, and our buddy Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News.
Yeah.
If you haven't got a chance, he just put out a piece about baseball and the players union and the salary cap and all the rhetoric that's coming from Tony Clark,
I was talking to him earlier. I'm going to try real hard to get him on here in the next couple of weeks, because It's been too long, first of all.
Yeah, and when he dropped that piece, I was just like, man, like if you get a chance, if you haven't seen it, everybody that listens, go find it. It's really good.
Yeah, but we'll get him in here to have a good talk about this, because I just think nobody understands the situation better, and nobody lays out a better argument for why the players really aren't representing all the players. Like, they're just not. There's a whole lot of actual real evidence out there that they could be doing better, and all of them. And I think it sucks to watch them just continue to not ever want to move forward and make the game itself better. I would think a lot of them would actually want an opportunity to stay in one place a little bit more. And I think that having some kind of a cap system would bring that about. Like, look what it does for hockey. Like, I know that you get to the point where a lot of people turn into journeymen, but hockey's got a lot of the ability to hold on to a guy until they retire. And it means so freaking much to those markets. And when you can't do that in half the league, it sucks. Like, the Royals have done it. They're one of the rare small market teams that has really done it. They've got Salvador Perez. They've locked him down probably well beyond his, years. And he has, to his credit, played well that whole time. But what's that going to mean to that city when he gets to retire as a Royal and that's all he's ever been? Like, that means a lot. They've locked Bobby Witt down for a while. I'd love to see all markets be able to start doing things like that. And by the way, still be able to build around it, which Kansas City can't.
Yeah. That's the choice, right? If you can maybe keep some of those guys, but then what? Right. So
I mean, they're building around it with Adam Frazier. So I'm sorry I said that, but
this is true. It was a big acquisition. Adam Frazier could just go back and forth from the Royals to the Pirates every year, is from what I understand.
It's true, and I've come to understand from comments that he should have returned Ty Cobb. So,
yeah, but no. The thing about this is like, you would think eventually the numbers would matter in the sense of players figuring out that they have strength in numbers, the ones that aren't making a lot. But isn't it funny, Gary, that no matter what kind of, whatever system, corporation, whatever, I think there's an old guard and a club that you get in and nobody wants to make a lot of waves. And it takes guts to do that. And, it's once you get your foot in the door, do you want to jeopardize that in any way?
Well, that kind of makes us circle back to the beginning of the conversation, though, because talk about making waves. That's what Rob Manfred's doing. I mean, he's not saying the cap word. In fact, it's his role that none of the owners are allowed to say the cap word. But he certainly is trying to say just about every other word he can to describe one, isn't he? Because, I mean, that interview on Pat McAfee, where Pat really pressed him about the Pirates. He's basically like, I'm a huge sports fan. I never got into the Pirates. I love baseball, but not the Pirates, because my dad told me they sucked and not to watch them. They always would, and he kept pressing him on it. And he finally came back with like, yeah, well, the system's broke. We got to fix it, and I think that's big. And I don't think he's saying things like that if he doesn't have at least a couple bigger market teams that are part of this coalition to go after it, because he's just throwing it out there now that that's what he wants.
Yeah, remember before, maybe in the last year or two, you'd get we would catch little things that were being said, and we would be like, there's a first mention of some of the concerns and some of the issues, and you'd never heard it before. And as we've gotten further along, we're now to the point where there's been some kind of clear mandate from the owners for Rob Manfred to speak the way he's speaking, because that's where it's coming from. So
I would have to imagine, just to get the gang of 8, and not the ones that in politics that went for the immigration system a few years ago. The Gang of Eight in baseball, like, there was a conglomeration of 8 owners that kind of propagated and pushed along that last lockout. And that's all you need. Okay. You got to have it. You have to have that. And if you don't have that, you can't have any of these kind of deeper conversations. And it's really hard to keep 8 and not have anyone peel off. So if you go into it with a coalition of more like 12 to 14, I think what's important for people to remember is that's all it takes to keep the game shut down. And those 16 that don't agree, well, they need those 14 just as bad as those 14 need those 16. And if the owners band together and want it, the owners will get it. That's all there is to it. It'll stay shut as long as it has to.
I was just going to say, it's just a matter of time and attrition at that point.
You'll move on to scabs after a year if they have to. And the scabs will start to consist of minor league players. And before you know it, it'll start looking like regular baseball again as they all start to come back. That's just the way it is. We watched this in football. There's a movie about it. You know, I mean, like, it's the way it is.
You know, I do think some of it has changed in the sense of what we're talking about. Instead of millions, we're talking about billions now. And the way some of these teams are leveraged with the money that they owe players and what they make and what their lifestyles are. So I think the stakes are higher that would suggest it wouldn't be a long lockout. But who knows? And I did see you put up about Greg. He's having a baby in a few days.
Yeah, congratulations, Greg.
Congratulations, sir.
And I see he's choosing to raise the poor child as a Pirates fan. So,
yeah, about that. I made that mistake too. Gary has made that mistake too.
Let's see. What's this say? It may be something that goes unspoken, but just how frustrated and angry the Pirates players are with the whole Pittsburgh organization and the whole Bob Nutting, Charrington mindset. Well, I mean, I think we had a little bit of a picture into that. I mean, Dejan Kovacevic wrote some stuff about being in the locker room, and there's definitely some frustration there. I think there's definitely some confusion about what's going on with Charrington.
These guys are human beings.
Yeah, I gotta say though, I have talked to a lot of these players, not this room in particular, but you know, a decent amount of players throughout the years. I don't think I've ever heard any of them really reference Bob Nutting in any kind of a positive or negative light. And I mean that, like, even in conversations where I am routinely doing it myself. Like, they're not just ganging on because it's easier, they're used to it, is my point. I just don't think he's a topic of discussion a lot. I think that the general manager kind of gets the blame, right or wrong, most of the time. That seems to kind of be the top of the food chain. And if I ever hear a murmur, that's as far as it ever goes.
Well, I think there's an acceptance on one end that they understand the situation that they are in when it comes to nutting with the Pirates. But Charrington is the one that has to make it work regardless. So I think that's where their focus is going to be. It's going to be what are we doing? You know, what is the next plan? Who's coming? Who's staying? What's the message?
I often think, Jim, like, the thing is to win really with all the restrictions that are here in Pittsburgh. You can include the owner in that, you can include the system in that, you can include whatever, the GM, doesn't matter. The only way to win here in Pittsburgh is to draft really well, develop really well, trade players at smart times, extend players strategically, and take your shots when you get them. And that just hasn't worked. It's been the only way they could really win since 1994. You know, and like, it hasn't worked. I mean, so at some point, yeah, you start rooting for the system to change, or you start just realizing it isn't going to work this way. And we as a people Jim, are not patient enough to get to the point where they do win that way. I think people forget how long Tampa Bay lost on the way to building the system and structure that they have. I think people forget how long Houston lost on the way to building the structure and system they had. And I think you start to see one bad thing. Look how quickly they get off kilter. Look what happened. Wander Franco and Tampa takes a hit. You know, that's a huge loss to their talent pool, and their whole idea is screwed up. Houston kind of gets to a crux with all their free agents aging out, where they can't keep all the plates balancing anymore, right?
Yeah.
They got to start over.
Well, you have a smaller, runway to land this thing, and then it's a shorter runway too, right? Like you eventually, like, the Rays are great at what they do, but like you can't do this forever. Like it's too difficult. Kudos to them for being able to do it as long as they do. I just feel like, man, to not have any other, there is no plan B for these types of organizations.
Well, this is an interesting conversation though, because like Tampa is being sold now, right? So new owner, and I saw one of the pundits, like I think it was Rosenthal, he says, I can't wait to see what the Rays do with an influx of money they can spend. And I thought to myself, is that how it worked out for Baltimore? Because it hasn't. And then there's a reason for that, because the market didn't change. And the other side of that too is, let's say this guy does come in there and put some money into the system. Let's say he goes like, listen, lock up Junior Caminero and that one pitcher, he's awesome. I want to make sure that he's a Ray for 10 years. Does not everything they do kind of fall apart if they start locking guys up and changing the chemistry of how they do things?
It certainly could. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah. And to say nothing of the fact of, you talk about these owners coming in and people think that's going to make the big difference. And by the way, get Bob Nutting out of here yesterday.
Sure, yeah.
Like before anybody, says that I want Bob Nutting here. But these guys are paying like tip-top valuations too. Billions. Like like that's where the investment is.
Yeah.
Initially, at least, right? Like
right.
$1, $2, $3 billion. That's where the money is.
And at that point, you're just transferring wealth, because it's not like
correct.
It's not like it immediately starts producing that wealth for you, especially if you're one of these guys that like has like 51% share or whatever. You're not making a whole lot of decisions yourself. You know what I mean?
It's exactly right. You're the boss in name, but you answer to a lot of people.
Yeah. So I think there's minimal change from that. Very difficult path to do it like this. I think that's what we've been recently talking about. Some teams are better than others, but I think all those teams, what makes them successful, like what makes the Brewers successful, is not just that they've adopted some of what the Rays do with their trades and their shrewd moves and their, trading for prospects that are coming up hot. It's that they'll actually spend a little money when they have to, or they'll actually push in a little bit of chips here before they're necessarily ready to try a different angle. They trust their youth, even if it doesn't play well. That's the thing we don't do here in Pittsburgh, and we fans don't have the patience for it.
No, that's true.
Like, I want Henry Davis to play every day. I know it's going to frustrate me. That's what I want people to understand, is like, you want all these kids, you want to build like this, you will be frustrated. You will absolutely be frustrated, because it's hard to turn kids into Major League Baseball players. And then it's really hard to turn Major League Baseball players into star Major League Baseball players. And then every once in a while, a cheat code comes along like Paul Skeens, and you just go, man, this is easy. Let's do that again. And you can't just do that again. It doesn't work
Right.
that way.
And the benefit these other fan bases have is their ownership and their organization has given them at least some proof of concept that it can work. Here in Pittsburgh, we don't have that. So, like we are sold this without a lot of results behind it. But Gary, I think this just brings up the point too of like, even what we're talking about, how the Rays do it and how they have to sell off pieces and all this stuff. Isn't this what's wrong with baseball? Why are teams forced to do it this way? So you can never have a Hall of Famer again? So you can't keep a good player for more than 5-6 years? They get to go somewhere else. Like, that's what's dumb. That's what's so dumb about this sport. Like it's just set up so poorly that fan bases have to live and survive that way.
It is. It is. And I mean, there's frustrating things in cap leagues too. Like, I get frustrated with the no guaranteed contracts, and I think that stuff, like, I don't think that's fair to the players. I don't think that's fair to the fans even.
Yes.
You invest in a player, like you hear like, oh, they signed so and so for 6 years. Well, I don't want to be hearing about it in 3 years that he doesn't think he's making enough.
Yeah.
But I can't say that because it's not fair, because the owners could cut him in 4 years for nothing.
Right. Cut day in the NFL, you see some names, you're like, whoa, like they just don't want to pay the money anymore.
And the NBA, they just beg to get traded somewhere. And the NHL, you've got teams that just to meet the salary floor are trading for people that they don't want to play, that can't play the game anymore. So you can't really fully tear down and rebuild, and it takes longer because of it. And
yeah, I'm under both of us, we're under no, false illusions that these other leagues are perfect. They all have their issues, but
they all have one thing in common. Every team in the league can compete and is starting from the same starting point.
Sure. It's just up to you. Can you, with all the resources being the same, can you figure it out?
I'm just saying, if you're administering something, if your job is to administer something, Rob Manfred said it best. Our job is to sell, competition. Like, if you're not doing a very good job of selling competition if half the teams aren't really ever invited to the dance. That's all. And I think it doesn't help that most of the media employed by the league, that the commissioner of, is openly recognizing this as a problem. Well, maybe the people covering your sport for you, especially the ones employed by you, should quit coming out here and making fun of teams like they should be able to do the same damn thing that every team is doing. Have them start telling the truth too a little bit.
Yeah, it's a dysfunctional system all the way around with baseball. There's a lot of weirdness around this sport.
There sure is, man. But something's got to change, and the one thing that had to change tonight was us doing it on Wednesday and tiptoeing through the power outages.
Yeah, we got it done, baby. We did it.
We did. It was a really good show, and congratulations to our 2 winners of the Call Your Shot. That was good stuff. Really good conversation starter, and something Jim and I wanted to talk about anyway, so we appreciate the head start there.
Yeah, and we're just going to try to dig our heels in on this second half and keep this trade deadline in focus, and hopefully we have plenty to talk about with that.
And hey, thanks for jumping on with us on a special night too. I know we didn't give you guys a lot of notice, but that's going to just be the case sometimes with Ben's aggressive schedule, and I might have to travel at some point too. So things will happen, but I appreciate you guys bouncing along with us. This is one of our best attended live shows in quite some time. So hey, maybe we're on to something with Wednesday night, Jim.
Hey, it gives us more options, and maybe people miss baseball, even though we say we hate it here in Pittsburgh.
I do miss baseball. I do. Yeah. I can't freaking wait for Friday. So hey, let's go Bucks, and let's let another child whose voice has surely changed by now say, "Let's go Bucks." Yeah, buddy.